Hi, and welcome to Inside the Huddle. I'm Daily Review Sports Editor Geoff Stoute here with Berwick head coach Eric Holden. The Berwick Panthers this week will be hosting the Newman Greenies in a non-district matchup. Both teams enter this week with 3-0 records. Berwick is ranked number 10 in the latest Louisiana Sports Writers Association Class 3A poll, same ranking from a week ago. Berwick enters the game after defeating South Terrebonne 49-28 a week ago, while Newman defeated East Jefferson 38-21. Coach, before we get to the matchup on, with Newman, obviously last week South Terrebonne, you scheduled that wing tee to get used to some wing tee teams in your district, and then later in the playoffs. Thoughts on how that went? How y'all handled the wing tee?
Well, I thought we had a better showing this game than we did the last time we saw it against Kaplan, of course. It's a process with our guys here at Berwick. We're getting better each week, and I thought as far as the physicality, I thought we did a great job. We met their physicality. We were strong. I was impressed about our resilience because early on in the first half, it was a fist fight, and we were getting punched in the face, and we never quit. And we found a way in the second half to shut them down. I also knew, coming out of halftime, the wing team, man, they're going to run time. They're going to run time, but we were up by 2 touchdowns, and I understood that if we could draw out that drive in the third quarter when they got the ball to take up the rest of that quarter, that they would be their own worst enemy, because I knew we were going to score again. And once that drive got to about 7 minutes, I was like, that's it. He's about to cut his own throat, and he doesn't even realize it. And that happened. That drive ended up being somewhere around 9 or 10 minutes. And, my coaching staff was, Coach, this drive's taking up the whole quarter. I was like, praise Jesus. Let it keep rolling. And they kind of looked at me like, what is he talking about? But I understood that, man, look, we're going to get the ball back. And we had kind of figured them out to where now we were bending and not breaking, and it was taking them every 3 downs to be able to get a first down. Then they have to go for it on fourth at some time within that series. So I wasn't upset. I was just waiting for it to end that quarter, and once we got to the end of the third, man, I was like, yes. And got the ball back, we scored, went up 14 again, and at that point, they understood that they couldn't run the clock, that now the clock was on our side, and then it forced them to basically play left-handed, which was to have to pass the ball.
So, obviously, all wins are good, improved to 3-0. This week you have another 3-0 opponent, Newman. Give me your thoughts on that matchup.
Well, last year when I came in, the schedule was made for me, and one of the things when you look at championship programs, they're playing other championship quality teams, and for us to get to that point and place in our program where we're respected as a team that's always going to compete and always be a powerhouse in 3A, we got to start putting some of those guys on our schedule because we need to see it. Everything we do is as young men and young people as we grow up comes from modeling behavior. And we need to be able to see another champion across from us in order that we can pick up some of those mannerisms, some of those characteristics that they do. And Coach Stoute comes in here with a great program. He does a great job. Newman is a first-class act. And I know this is a step up in talent for us, and this is what we need.
You might not want to hear this, and Coach Bravado, your defensive coordinator, might not want to hear this, but y'all, they haven't scored they've scored more than 30 points every game. Y'all scored more than 30 points every game. Could have a shootout on your hands.
Yeah, here's what I do think. I think that we run the same offense. They're Tony Franklin, we're Tony Franklin. So our guys have seen a lot of what we're going to see. I think both teams are going to be prepared when they come in because of that familiarity that we have with each other. Even though we haven't seen each other, we have seen each other. So and if it's the shootout they want, then it's the shootout they'll get.
Well, maybe it could be a defensive struggle, then who knows?
Yeah, and that's really the thing too is, you watch their film that we watched over the last couple of weeks, and they've played some run-heavy teams just like we have. And last week they got scored on, or was it the week before? I can't remember. Having to adjust, because you're used to seeing one style of run game, and when you got to get down in there and get dirty in the trenches, it's a little bit different.
Obviously they run that spread offense. Can you give me your thoughts on what they do defensively?
They're 4-2-5, and sometimes they'll be in a 3-4 when they're trying to stop the run, and that's what we saw versus those wing T teams they played. They're real athletic, very disciplined. They know exactly where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so as far as this game, you know, this is going to be a game where it's going to test our discipline, and this is one of those hurdles we have to get over if we're going to take a march towards Borges.
Mm-hmm. Anybody particular on offense, defensive stand out, or just solid all the way around?
Number 10 wide receiver they have is impressive. The running back is nice. The quarterback's got a great arm. You know, when you look at the matchups, we look real similar. We have a lot of the same type of players. You know, I'm excited for the opportunity to be able to pit our talents against theirs and see how far we've come.
All right, Coach. Best of luck. Should be an exciting game.
God bless you.
Thank you. In other action this week, Morgan City will face Donaldsonville on the road. Morgan City enters with a 2-1 record, while Donaldsonville is 3-0. Last week, the Tigers defeated North Central 55-14 for their second consecutive win. Meanwhile, Donaldsonville routed Port Allen 44-13. This is Morgan City's last non-district game of the season. The rest of their games will be District 7 4A contest. At Patterson, the Lumberjacks will face Terrebonne this week in a non-district game. It's the second consecutive Class 5A team that the Lumberjacks will face, and the third consecutive team from a classification higher than Patterson. In week 2, they faced Assumption. Last week, Patterson got their second win of the season against Lafayette High in the 35-30 thriller. Meanwhile, Terrebonne defeated Assumption 38-33. The game will begin at 7 p.m. at Patterson. And the final game of the week, Central Catholic will begin District 7 1A action on the road at Gaydon. Central Catholic is 1-2 to start the season, while Gaydon is 2-1. Central Catholic a week ago defeated Falls River Academy for its first win of the season. Meanwhile, Gaydon defeated South Cameron 45-23. That's another look at Inside the Huddle. Thanks for watching.